It's getting to the point where it's not even funny. I just seriously and genuinely feel bad for the OU fan base. Some of you may think I'm overreacting. That's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm here to tell you I'm not. And if you know ball, you know what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you had a great weekend. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. Man, oh man, it has been a weird, and I mean a weird past couple of days. For starters, how about this? On Saturday night, I was watching Houston and Texas Tech, and I saw a basketball player get ejected from the game for throwing a pass. Not throwing a punch, no. Throwing a pass in the Houston versus Texas Tech game, and is one of their best players. If you did not see that game, I feel bad for you, even if you're not a college basketball fan. That's one of the best sports games you're ever going to watch. Congratulations to Texas Tech for pulling off that massive win. Speaking of basketball, Jack said in one of the recent videos, you ready for Georgia to upset number 4 Alabama? And yeah, Alabama won by 20. And last but not least, before we get into what we really need to talk about, which is some college football, sadly, no, for my basketball fans, it's not a basketball video. What in the world happened last night? I'm about to go to bed, and I get an ESPN alert. You know what I'm about to say next? Anthony Davis getting traded for Luka Doncic? What in the world, man? What in the world? That is a terrible trade for the Lakers, and I think it's great for the Mavericks. This is not an NBA channel, but I'll give you my very brief 2 cents on that. If you know anything about this, you know what I'm about to say next is true. The Lakers needed Anthony Davis, and they also probably needed another center to go with him, because remember that last title they won? A lot of people call it the Mickey Mouse title. Anthony Davis was playing the 4, and they had Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee helping them out. And it's not even like the Lakers needed another good guard because you got Austin Reeves, you got Dalton Knecht, LeBron James. I don't know, man. That one's a head scratcher. For the Mavericks, it's a huge win because now you got a centerpiece who's in his prime in Anthony Davis, and you get Luka out of there. I like Luka, but defense wins championships, and he's not a very good defender. I had to start this video by talking about those things, but moving along here, we have 2 major topics to get into. Number 1, Oklahoma. What in the world are they doing? It's getting to the point where it's not even funny. I just seriously and genuinely feel bad for the OU fan base, and if y'all been keeping up with the channel, y'all know this. I got Oklahoma, their fan base, and the top 3 of all the fan bases out there. I love them. They're great and passionate fans, and for them to be going through this, I hate it for them. You'll see what I'm talking about there. What Brent Venables is doing, I think it's stupid. Our second topic we're going to be talking about, and you could argue and say this is the most interesting one. So Matt Rule, head coach of Nebraska, is canceling Nebraska's spring game. I'm sure it's happened before, but I don't know if ever in the history of me keeping up with college football since I was 5, 6, 7 years old, I've ever seen a spring game get canceled. And I've never seen it get canceled for a reason like this. I just can't remember. I'm trying to think back. No, I've never heard of a spring game getting canceled. Kind of shocked more people aren't talking about this. Well, I guess I shouldn't be because you know what I'm about to say next. It's Nebraska. They're irrelevant. But the topic itself is interesting, so we're going to talk about it. Sorry for the long intro. Strap in, buckle up, get your snack, get your popcorn, get your fair meal light to eat when you watch a video, because trust me, I do the same thing, but I'm mad, blah, blah, should creep up, net up for that do. Why can't you just say normal, Matt? Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, first things first. What will we label as the main topic? I don't know. We'll just start with the Oklahoma stuff first. For those of you who don't know, Brent Venables has done the impossible at Oklahoma. In his first 3 seasons, he's had 2 losing seasons. We've talked plenty about that already. I'm not going to berate the man too much. It's bad, it's unacceptable, and it's embarrassing. And I know what all the OU fans are going to say about the most recent season, and I did kind of give them the benefit of the doubt, but I'm tired of it. All they said every single time you saw anything posted about him anywhere is, oh, well, we're injured everywhere. Our top 5 or 6 wide receivers, they're injured. The offensive line, they're banged up, yada, yada, yada. Look, I understand that, but there is still no excuse for going 6 and freaking 7. I don't care if you're playing the SEC. And a reason I actually stopped giving them the benefit of the doubt with the injury excuse is for, ironically enough, a win they had over Alabama. The reasoning for that is because I actually saw against Alabama, oh, wait a minute. This isn't a skill issue. They actually have the talent to beat the big dogs. I want you to think about this. Oklahoma pretty much got blown out in 5 games. Tennessee blew them out. Texas blew them out. South Carolina blew them out. Ole Miss handled them easily. And last but not least, LSU blew them out. 5 games that were not competitive, not even to the slightest. 5! And probably the worst loss of the season outside the blowouts. I have a lot of respect for these guys, but come on now. We're talking about college football. You lost to Navy in the bowl game. I still can't believe to this day Brent Venables thought it was a good idea to go for 2 at the end when your offense wasn't doing anything. That was terrible. You should have took it overtime, should have kicked the extra point, but I digress. I said it in year 1. The beauty of YouTube is it's a time machine. You can go back and look at it. It's documented on the channel. Brent Venables should have been fired in year 1. I've never shied away from that take. I even stood 10 toes down in year 2 when he had a quote-unquote pretty good season. And the reason I've always stated he should be fired is because I think, similar to basketball and football, you have role players. Well, his role in his life is to be a defensive coordinator when it comes to coaching. He's not a very good head coach, and he never will be. Moral of the story. I say all that to say this. For those of you that haven't been keeping up with Oklahoma football, they've been looking for a defensive coordinator. Many Oklahoma fans were hoping they could get Jim Knowles from Ohio State, but as we all know, he went to Penn State. And I guess you could say Mr. Brent Venables has just given up completely on trying to get a defensive coordinator because he said, F it, I'll do it myself. You won't believe and you can't guess who's going to be the new defensive coordinator at Oklahoma in 2025. I realize I kind of spoiled it for you when I said, F it, I'll do it myself, referring to Brent Venables. Yes, indeed, it is going to be Brent Venables, your head coach. So your head coach is also going to be your defensive coordinator, play caller, whatever you want to call them. Do I like this? No. I'll explain why, because I know some of you are sitting here going, well, Matt, aren't you kind of being a hypocrite, buddy? Because you said his role when it comes to coaching is to be a defensive coordinator. So what's the problem here if he's calling the plays for the defense? Great question, my friend. I'd love to answer it. The problem with this is it shows his lack of ability to recruit. And when I say recruit, I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about coaches to bring in a great coaching staff. And that's what college football is all about. You got to have great players, but also got to have a great coaching staff. Let me remind some of y'all, Oklahoma is one of the very few football programs that over the past 20 years, take away these past couple of years, has won 10 games every single season. We're not talking about Texas Tech. We're not talking about Missouri. We're talking about freaking Oklahoma. And you mean to tell me with their pedigree as a head coach, you can't even find a defensive coordinator? Some of you may think I'm overreacting. That's fine. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm here to tell you I'm not. And if you know ball, you know what I'm talking about. Not only is this not a good look, but I firmly believe Brent Venables, he's dragging this program down. I'm telling you right now, this is not a recipe for success. And if you think I'm wrong, I got some cold hard facts and evidence to back up my claims. Ryan Day. Y'all remember what happened there? For those of you who don't know, Ryan Day was calling the plays on offense for years and years until he finally realized, you know what? I need to get me a real deal, serious, top-notch offensive coordinator. What did he do? Got Chip Kelly, handed over the power to him, said, you know what? He's going to call the plays, and what happened? Oh, wait a minute, that's right. Ohio State won a national championship. Ryan Day finally put his pride and ego aside and said, let me hire a specialist in this. Even though I think I'm a specialist, let me get a guy who's just dedicated to calling plays. And that's what he did. I have another example for you. Nick freaking Saban. Did Nick Saban, in big-time moments and clutch plays, decide what play they were going to run on defense and offense? Absolutely. That's what every head coach does. Did they run Nick Saban schemes on defense? Absolutely. He's a defensive-minded head coach. However, he was not calling the plays. A head coach is nothing more, nothing less than the manager of the team. They're just overseeing everything, and here and there, they're going to give some bits and pieces of information and some input. I know we're getting deep into detail at this, but I hope some of you are seeing the problem with this. You do not want a head coach who already has a ton on his plate to be focused on calling the plays as well. And I'm talking about all the plays. This is not going to go well. This is your warning and disclaimer right now. But like with anything, guess we'll have to wait and see. Moving along here to our second topic. What in the world is going on in Nebraska? Now, we're jumping straight into this. I don't even know how to ease into it. Matt Rule, he has canceled the spring game. When I first saw this, I was so confused. I was like, wait, what? I had the same question a lot of you are probably asking right now. Why? Come to find out, he's canceling the spring game because of tampering? Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly. Let's read this off word for word. I haven't even read it myself. It's really because last year, we were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. The word, quote-unquote, tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute, free, open, common market. I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. Ah, interesting. So y'all are seeing what he's talking about, right? And he actually has a good point. In other terms, to dumb this down, he's canceling the spring game because last year, players were using it as almost like a showcase. That's a good word. You had all these other college coaches and teams sitting on their couch and watching this game that was nationally televised going, well, wait a minute. That guy's pretty good. Let's go after him. And I believe last year after the spring game, if I'm not mistaken, Nebraska did wind up losing 6 or 7 players to the portal. I can't even blame Matt Rule because it makes total sense. If you don't have a spring game, then their team's out here. They can't poach players that they think could help out their team. And it's not even big-time players and starters that these other schools were going after. It was like your second-string wide receivers, running backs, stuff like that. Guys that weren't playing a lot in the spring game, but maybe they made a big-time play, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. If that kid doesn't start at Nebraska, we could use him here, and that could be some leverage we use. Because let's just say, theoretically speaking, for the sake of this video, you got Georgia State watching Nebraska's spring game. If you're Georgia State's head coach, you're going, yeah, we probably can't get Nebraska's starting running back, but let's go after their third-string running back. He'd be great for us. That's what was going on, and it probably would go on this year as well. Let's answer this question, though. Do I think it's, with all this tampering going on, worth canceling a spring game? No. That's my opinion on it. I understand why he's doing it, and I'm not blaming him, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. You also got to look at it from this perspective. If you're Matt Rhule in Nebraska, why would you care about losing some third or fourth string running back or some third string linebacker or anything like that? Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm really curious. Many more things I could say, but we'll make this a short, simple, and sweet video. Let me know your thoughts down below. But